So I'm Christine Aldifer. I want to welcome you guys to the general session and to the family conference. And I've been tasked with the boring part of housekeeping this morning, so I'm going to fill you in on all the details and then turn it over to everybody else. So first I want to say thanks to Marnay. Is Marnay here? Marnie led a really good kickboxing class this morning. It was super fun. So we got our sweat on, thanks to all the moms that came out. And we had a JM kid too. That was great. So a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. On your chair, you have an agenda for this morning, and you also have index cards. The index cards are to be used for writing down your questions for the question and answer period, okay? If you need to take notes or something, you could use the back of the agenda, or there's notepads in the back, but the index card is for your questions. So we will collect the questions at the break time, and then Jim Minnow is going to moderate the question and answer session. If you have questions after the break time, after a couple of the other doctors speak, I'll come around and pick those up from you. But that's what the index card is for, okay? One thing I want to mention to you is about the kids camp. They opened at 8:45 this morning. Please make sure that you bring your child and sign them in and out. We had some parents that just let their kids go on their own, and that isn't going to work. And also, when this is over, we're scheduled to be done at 12:15. Lunch is going to begin right away. I need you to go get your kids, and everyone's gonna eat together. But the kids camp will close from 12:15 or 12:30 until 1:30. If you can have your kids back there at 1:30, that would be great. They have a lot of things scheduled, and they'd like to get started right away at 1:30. And then the next session for us starts at 2 o'clock. Tonight, if you can pick them up no later than 5:30, that would be great. We have a reception tonight from 6 to 7. Everything will be in here and outside. The kids will perform something at 6:45. We'll have everyone come in for that, and then we'll be seated for dinner at 7 o'clock. So that brings me to another point. If you registered and you signed up for the dinner and you've had a change of plans, if you can let us know, that would be great. We've had a tremendous response to the dinner, and we are going to be very full in here. So I just need to know if you're not going to come, if you can let registration know, and if you haven't told us that you're going to be here, please let them know that as well. Also, if you picked up your bags and your badges after 5 o'clock last night, I need you to check back in with registration so they can mark you off the list, okay? I know a few people came in late and did that. So I think that covers most of the housekeeping issues on that. Okay, and tomorrow for the blood draw, I hope you guys will take the opportunity to participate in that. It's a huge step forward in helping our research, and the blood draw will be open tomorrow. There's a lot of open slots. If you aren't comfortable with doing the blood draw, you can do a saliva test. So I know some people are a little bit phobic of the needle, so that might be a good option for you, okay? And that is downstairs below the Vista Ballroom. Yes, the kids who are affected need to do the blood. That's preferable, so. Okay, lastly, and very importantly, I would like to thank Bruce and Judy Leitz. They very generously donated the money to pay for the live streaming that we're doing for this conference. This is the first time we've ever done it. So fabulous. Thank you, Bruce and Judy. Thank you so much. So with that, we have several sessions today. As you guys know, a lot of times our kids are too sick for us to travel, or our medical expenses are too high to allow us to travel. So we're really hoping to outreach to those families that couldn't be here today. So if you can help on your Facebook, Twitter, whatever you do, and just spread the word. It's very easy to view the sessions at curejm.org/livestream. So again, thank you, Bruce and Judy Leitz, for your generosity. And all of the sessions that we record will be on the website for later viewing. So that's really exciting too. Okay, so with that, I'm going to introduce Rhonda McKeever. Rhonda is our chairman of the board for Cure JM. Rhonda's daughter Megan is a JM champion, and Rhonda is going to lead us off in the sessions. Thank you so much.
So this is a milestone for us. I'm up here and I've had more than 6 hours of sleep, and it's all because of Christine Aldifer, who's taken the reins in terms of all the coordination of the activities for this family conference. So let's give Christine a nice hand. So welcome. Okay. So I want to welcome you. This is our 10th annual family conference, and we put them around the different parts of the country to be able to allow different people come from different regions for that reason. Not everybody can necessarily fly to a location, but in this group, we've got half of the people that are, probably a third, that are from driving distance from here, and the rest did fly in. So this is our biggest conference ever. Similar to last night when Tom was talking at the beginning of dinner, I would love to make this a little interactive. Can I see some of who in the room are the first-time attendees or newly diagnosed? If you're a first-time, okay? Look at all the hands. Look around you. Look at the people with the hands up, okay? So you can put your hands down. How about show of hands for the families, and this includes the grandparents that have been here 3 or more times? Raise your hand. So as you see, all those people that just raised their hands before, look around you. These are people that have come not only once, not only twice, but 3 or more, because they see value in it. And so please know, you've got people around you that see the value in coming to this, but also there's a lot of support around you, because Cure JM is an organization, but we're made of this collective community, okay? Let's see the grandparents. Can we have all the grandparents raise their hands? Check that out. Check that out. Now, I have 3 grandparents here. So how many of you can beat 3 grandparents? Anyone with 4 grandparents here? So let's see the McKeever Palace. Let's see. Come on, Grandpa Bud. Grandpa Bud, there we go. I've got 3. I'm not competitive at all. So we've got a lot of great families here because this is a JM family conference. But can I have the doctors that are here? Can I have our doctors raise their hand? Or hey, stand. There we go. Look around. There's a few back over here as well. The doctors. Is Dr. Carrasco here? Is Dr. Carrasco in the room? He's coming at lunch? Okay. So what you may not realize, and the Cure JM Foundation, and it was Mitali Dave that coordinated this, is we started, and it was actually started first here in Austin in 2010, is that since we were already flying in these JM experts to talk to the JM families about juvenile myositis, we asked those doctors beginning in 2010, would you be willing to take an extra day off? Come in on that Friday, and would you be willing to do a juvenile myositis clinic and educational session for the medical community? And because they've always been educating us and sharing with us the research, but they gladly said yes. And these are busy doctors, and these aren't, these are doctors that when you see the list of people that I've got listed up there, they're great experts in that, but they've taken time not only on their weekend, today's a Saturday, to be here, but they also took time out yesterday and over at Dell Children's with the help of Mitali leading it for Cure JM, but Dr. Carrasco, we had this whole medical conference where we had Dr. Ann Reed, who's from Duke, the pediatric chair. She gave grand rounds in the morning. So over 100 people were in the room, as well as a live webcast of hearing about JM. And so there was a grand rounds over there. And then throughout the rest of the day, they talked about research. They talked about how to diagnose it, how to treat it, different aspects of new research. And I learned some new language around metabolonics was a kind of key area of research that's advancing, but it was really phenomenal. And so when you look at this list of the continued in collaboration, and that was a one-day event, but I challenged them as they come together and get that one day of learning. The real sign of success is those doctors continuing to work collaboratively and help us figure this out. And so big round of applause for the doctors. So welcome, and thank you for being here, okay? So what were our goals for coming together here in Austin? Both yesterday and today, it's about you. It's about educational opportunities for all of you, for your families, your extended families, for your children. And so this is a great opportunity that, happens once every year or 18 months with us in hosting this. It's about expanding that community of support, and that's why people come back year after year, because these personal connections are made that you don't necessarily have back at home or with your other families and friends, because they don't quite get it. And not that they don't, you just don't know until you've gone through something like this. Fundraising for research. You might have gotten emails from Shannon. You might have gotten emails from me. And what you're going to see today is, to get this research going, we need fundraising. So if it looked like we were begging, we were begging. And holding this conference for this kind of size of conference, we should have raised about $400,000, but I think we've raised about $200,000. So, I'm not, I think I'm very optimistic when I see all the people that are in this room, that I hope that you're inspired, and it will have ongoing impact, that you'll want to do more and help us in our efforts. So I think what we've done is outstanding, and give yourself a round of applause for that. Now we're going to share some current and future research that we'd like to fund, and also share with you how we've put your money to work in the past fundraising. So you'll learn a little bit about that from Jim, as well as our doctors. Tonight will be phenomenal. There's some great work that's been done, not by just the Cure JM Foundation, but by many of you in this room. So tonight we're going to celebrate those successes. And certainly your kids, I guarantee you, are having a blast in the kids' room, but it's not just for them as well, for you as well. Make new friends and really get a lot out of this. Okay? Since we have over 60 families here that are kind of really new in being involved with Cure JM, I want to take a little, just brief moment to share that Cure JM is primarily run by families. We're a nonprofit that's dedicated to find a cure and better treatments to help improve the lives of all of our children. It was started in 2003, and it was started by a lemonade stand in Encinitas, California. Where's Sherry and Tom Hume? Where's Sherry and Tom? Oh, Sherry's in the back. Where's Tom? Tom's back over there. So Sherry and Tom, they started the organization. They're one of my best friends. They are still so actively involved in this foundation and lending their talents and their house, and so it started as a lemonade stand, literally. We had our first Cure JM conference in Chicago, and so we had a group of people running the Chicago Marathon. I was one of them, and got a bunch of people I worked with and others, and it kind of snowballed from there. And we raised over $250,000 in that first event. And this was our little cheering station that we had along the race route. And I'm going to embarrass. I am a JM mom, as Christine mentioned, and my daughter was diagnosed at 2.5. And let me see if this was 2006. That was a couple years after diagnosis. But Miss Megan, can you stand up? So there's Megan. So Megan's the first small circle there that you'll see here, a little, short. But then even smaller than Megan, see the little boy in the it's gray and orange jacket? That's my son Calvin. He's now almost 6 foot, and he's still sleeping because he's 14, and 14-year-olds don't like getting up before noon. So he's not here, but we'll harass him later. But Anthony's with sitting next to my son, my husband Kevin, and then my father. Can you guys stand up as well? Where's Kevin? Kevin's probably doing an air. Oh, there he is. There's Kevin. So, once again, Facebook Live. So this doesn't happen just by me or just the board. It's also the great support that we have with our families that support us in doing these events. So thank you to my family. And this is all about the power of you. And this is a JM community. It's like taking a village to really make a difference. So all of you have done that even just by showing up here today. I was going to bring up a copy of it here, but in your packets, this is our impact report. This highlights, a lot of the things that have been done over the last year. And it's called Powered by You. And you might see, if you came to some of the prior conferences, some of the photos in there. But, when I look at that impact report, and I look at the things that have been funded and the studies and globally, and I'm incredibly proud. But also I want to, give credit here that the leadership team of Cure JM, we leverage our talents, and so, this impact report looks phenomenal. Looks like you gave it to a design artist, and it looks like you had someone really professionally did it. You did. It was called Sherry Hume in the back of the room, and a lot of our work we do ourselves so we can save our money for research. And so it's a phenomenal piece. We didn't spend a lot of money for it because Sherry worked nights, weekends, and it was a collective input of the team. So take a look at it and hope you're as proud of it as I am. These are some of the accomplishments that have been accomplished since 2003. We've got over 2,500 families. It is a rare disease to have that many people in our JM registry. That's pretty a lot. And so if you haven't, when I talk about this database or registry, it's on CureJM's website. It's the patient registry. If you haven't done it and you're here today, write it down. Put your name in there because that's how we outreach to you for future research studies, some of the demographic information shared with researchers. So please, if you're not in the JM patient registry, please do so. We've funded since 2006 because once again, the marathon and those activities help open 2 CureJM research and treatment centers, both at George Washington University and at Chicago Luries. We've invested over $11 million in research, not only here in the States, but now we've started to fund different worthy initiatives outside of the US. And we've supported over 140 different studies, and there's a lot more on the horizon that you'll hear about. But when we do this, we try and use our dollars very smartly, like I used the example of Sherry Hume, or our board is a volunteer-led board, and we're always looking for sponsors. We're always looking to leverage families to help us do our things at kind of little or low cost. So when the family like the Leitzes helps us make this happen through the webcast, you know, we want to continue to be able to do that because every money we save, the asking for dinner contributions, we want to save our money for research, and that's how we make sure that piece of the pie is as big as that orange part to make sure that's going to research and educational programs versus our operating expenses. It's important because you report this information publicly through your 990 forms and that, and when you got major donors and different organizations wanting to support our efforts, you know, we work hard and we want to do things right, but you know, also the external piece, we want to be one of those top best nonprofits, and we've been doing that. And if you look at, these are the 3 different organizations that do ratings based upon how you spend your money, but also how you operate as a board. And we've consistently been at the very top of nonprofits in terms of our fiduciary responsibility and our governance, but also what's even more important, at least for us in the CureJM organization, if you go to some place like the GuideStar, there's comments in there that families write. And we've got hundreds of comments, and when you read them, it's really impactful. So I think, once again, it's a great sign of success that we're not only fundraising and doing research, but we're doing it in the right way. This doesn't happen by just the CureJM board or our leadership team. So this is one where I'm going to go through this slide and the next slide. But for anyone that's got their name on this list, I want you to stand and I want you to remain standing. So we've got our CureJM board members that are in the room. Can the CureJM board stand? Okay. So we've got Matali, we've got Sherry, we got Tom, we got Denise, we got Christine, we got Reagan, Amy, Annie, Nikki, Julie, stay standing. We've got our regional reps. These people don't get paid, so they get paid through appreciation and recognition. So if we can have the board remain standing, and then the regional reps, we've got Julie Shevlin, we've got Amy, we've got Sue, we've got Aaron, we've got Cesar, Suzanne, Julie, Gail, Denise, Kristen. We've got Jana, we've got Michelle, Sherry, Sissy Taylor. And then we've got the Leadership Council. I'm going to name them because, you know, this is how we, we've got Jana Maba, we got Patricia, we got Sue Carpenter, Susie Clement, Marge, Aaron, Casey, Chalet, we've got Aaron, Suzanne, Lisa Forgas, Kelly Gaither, Kaylee, we've got Juanita, Rob, Jana, Carol, Damon, and Jennifer. Can you stand as well? Thank you. I call her the Energizer Bunny. Laurel Kreider, where are you? Laurel. Okay, where's Chuck? Chuck, you got to stand too, because as we all know, it just doesn't happen with one person, it's the support behind him too. So Chuck, thank you for attending. This next area is something that we've been continued to evolve, and this is where I know Anna Ramsey's here. Where's Anna? Is Anna here? She's sleeping. Note to self, teen stuff, schedule afternoon. Okay. She's lovely. She is lovely. And I mean, she got involved in Cure JM, I think, even before her parents really knew what she was up to. And just a beautiful young woman that's just so mature and so forward-thinking and so balanced. And I know that comes from, the parents and the environment that they established. But you meet her, and she's a JMer, and, she gives you inspiration that there's, our kids are going to go off and do, as Rob Dial said yesterday, our kids are going to go off and do really great things. And I think this makes them tougher and more prepared for it. So Anna, to the Ramsey family. But her compadres with Morgan Gleason, and I don't think Samantha Martin is here. Is Samantha here today? She's at the teen camp. So Samantha Martin. So the three of them have done a ton of different things together in rallying the teen and young adult piece. But if you haven't, check out, they've created, a teen portal developed by teens and young adults for them. Check it out. It's on the Cure JM website. But that whole section in that, they worked with a board member and got that up and running. And then something that's developed really kind of since that last conference is the fact that we've got chapter presidents now, and with the chapter presidents working with them are creating these Walk Strong events, and we'll have a Walk Strong event, kind of our first one with the national conference tomorrow. April Dooley is doing a phenomenal job in doing that, but we've got our chapter presidents and our Walk Strong chairs. For the chapter presidents here, I'd like them to stand up because these are the representatives we got Denise Cook, for Chicago, we got Kevin and Doreen Coffey. We've got Suzanne Edison for Washington, D.C. And we're working on, trying to get someone to lead Texas, which might be here in Central Texas, given the... What's that? And Michelle Best. Oh, I got Walk, absolutely, and Michelle Best with Washington, D.C., but also let's get the Walk Strong chairs. Tracy Van Ness. We've got Jen Coe. We've got Julie Shevlin. Simonetta is here somewhere as well. There we go. Simonetta is going to be doing the Washington, D.C. Walk Strong event. And then April Dooley, of course, I just mentioned. So outstanding. So another Energizer bunny is Shannon Malloy. Shannon, can you stand up, Shannon? Shannon is the backbone of weaving all these different events together, and it gets a little crazy at times, but she's an Energizer bunny that doesn't fall far. What is that? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. With Laurel Kreider's daughter here, Shannon, but in between, Shan has been working with us the last several years on coordinating and fundraising activities, and then just this last year, back in November, we really need someone to help us professionally, and that's an expert in this area. And so that's where we hired Jim Minnow. He joined the Cure JM Foundation as our executive director, and he's spent over 25, 30 years in nonprofit, leading nonprofits from smaller organizations to larger organizations, and most recently with the Foundation for Fighting for Blindness. And he's just opened our eyes to so many new opportunities, and is just brings such a great demeanor, but questions and challenges us and helps us think better strategically. And so I'm really pleased that I'm going to get the opportunity to, as you see in your impact, we're trying to power forward, and that power forward is through the power of the collective you in this group and bringing your resources and your ideas and really helping us in this effort. So as we power forward, I'm going to hand the mic over to Jim to be able to talk about some of the things that we've got on the future horizon in terms of research and other areas we want to invest in. So, Jim? Maybe if I just leave the slide up. Yep.
Great. Thank you, Rhonda. Great. Thank you and welcome. It's wonderful to see a lot of new faces. I saw your hands go up when Rhonda asked who was here for the first time, and so it's really terrific to see that and to see this room so full of energy and enthusiasm from all of you, who are really the leaders and the participants and the families that make all of our work possible. I've just within the last couple of months passed my first year anniversary here at Cure JM. It has been a wonderful experience for me, and I really look at it really as one of the highlights of my career. For those of you who were here last year when I was first introduced to the Cure JM family, you heard me say a few things about a vision for the future in terms of our research. And I'm going to boil all that down to one word that I know sometimes is not always the most popular word within the research community, but that one word that I introduced last year and which is alive today as it was then is faster. My role in this organization is to help this organization and the research move faster. Now, we all know that that's not always possible. We know that research is a methodical and careful analysis and procedure that has to take place to make sure that we're getting the right answers that will ultimately bring benefit to your children and to your grandchildren in terms of improved treatments and ultimately a cure. So while it's not always possible and it's not always realistic, we will never back away from a pledge to go ever faster in our research. And I think we've accomplished quite a bit along those lines within this past year. I'm going to talk about a couple of those in a moment, but I think more importantly, the doctors and the physicians and the researchers who are going to speak to you here this morning as well as throughout this afternoon are also going to provide ample evidence of the progress that we're making and the faster pace that is taking place. You know, Rhonda mentioned the medical forum that took place yesterday, and prior to that we had a dinner with many of the researchers and the clinicians, both from our host institution, Dell Children's Center, Hospital and Center here in Texas, in Austin, as well as researchers who have flown in from around the country and around the world. And one thing that kind of struck me as I was sitting there is that we had researchers, really the finest researchers from around the globe. And just bear with me for a minute, because these researchers were from the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Japan, China, Italy. And then we also talked about extraordinary collaborations with researchers who have been here in the past from the Netherlands, from Sweden, and from Brazil. So I think this gives you an idea of the scope of the research that's taking place in the United States and around the world, much of which is funded and much of which was in many ways initialized by grants from the CureJM Foundation, looking at that $11 million that Rhonda had referred to, that we have invested in research since being founded some 14 years ago. So we are moving faster, and I want to talk just a little bit about a couple of programs, and I know some of our doctors are going to mention these a little bit later. But if you look at our research program, I think right now we're focused in a number of broad areas, but there are, I think, some significant areas of investment that we want to look at in the future, I think more ambitiously than we have looked at in the past. Not to say that we haven't done a phenomenal job in the past, of course we have. But we know, and you will hear from Dr. Pachman and others, that we know that to really move treatments and cures forward more quickly, we need to have a better understanding of the causes of this disease, both the genetic causes and the environmental causes. And in this area, these are areas where we are making some significant investments. Thanks to all of you who have taken your families down to have your blood drawn through a proposed new program with Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. This will help not only a program or proposed program at CHOP, but it will help genetic researchers around the world advance and accelerate our knowledge about the genetics of this disease. What has been accomplished here in really just an extraordinary short period of time will now allow us to accelerate that genetic study that we are doing at that institution as well as at many other institutions, including several of the ones that Rhonda had up there on her screen a little bit earlier. Claire Deacon from the United Kingdom working with genetic research, Paul Norman from Stanford University. These are two newly funded researchers just this past year working on genetic research. And of course, the long-standing work that we have done through NIH and Dr. Lisa Ryder with an important program called Myogen, which is the program which really, in many ways, got all of this started for us. So the extraordinary acceleration of genetic research is happening, and it will continue to happen through 2017 and 2018 as a result of some of the things that you have done and helped us with this year in the sample collection with the folks here from Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. I think another area of research that's critically important is the development of new drugs. And these are drugs that we hope one day will continue to expand the repertoire of drugs that are available to you. You will hear a little bit today and later today from Dr. Ryder about new biologics that are available and that are currently being used in the lab as a result of research and initiatives that have been funded by CureJM in the past. And we're hopeful that we will identify numerous new drugs, both drugs that are already approved for uses in other indications, as well as compounds that are not yet approved by the FDA for indications, but which may be available to patients after these drugs go through initial tox studies and phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials. That's certainly a longer process, but part of the acceleration of what it is that we want to accomplish, including the acceleration of existing drugs already approved for other indications. This is probably the area where we will see the most rapid short-term advancements in terms of drugs that are available to your children to present better treatment options to them over the next couple of years, we hope, 2, 3, 4 years, if we can move that quickly. Helping us design this program and move it forward is a new initiative that we've just started with the National Center for Advancing Translational Sciences, which is a state-of-the-art laboratory at the National Institutes of Health in Washington, D.C. And what they can accomplish on behalf of CureJM and other rare disease organizations is really pretty extraordinary. Over the next 3 years, we will be testing some 300,000 known drugs and drug compounds being drugs that are not yet approved for use in the marketplace, but known drugs, of course, as I mentioned, are. 300,000 for both biologic and chemical impact and effect against targets that are suspected targets relating to JM. What we hope will come out of this over this period of time is to narrow down these drug targets and drugs and drug compounds to a small number, perhaps 6, perhaps 12, that are the high probability, high potential candidates for chemical impact to treat JM in the future. This has been done successfully in several other rare diseases. It's something that is new to CureJM. It is I think a program that is run by a number of brilliant scientists, including biochemists, chemists, statisticians, and also people with backgrounds in biolomics and people with backgrounds in chemical assays that will drive this program forward. It's an expensive program, but is also an example of the kinds of things that we need to do in the future as we move from basic research, both clinical research and lab-based research, and move into translational research that is actually the path and the avenue that will bring new treatments to your children. I want to thank Marge Coffey for helping to fund this program. It is an example of the kinds of things that we need to do in the future. So thank you, Marge. And finally, we had or almost finally, we had an extraordinary meeting last night of our medical advisory board, who will actually be presenting here a little bit later this morning after I'm done. Really talking about the future role and leadership of the medical advisory board and interaction with CureJM to elevate the impact of our research. I think that the Medical Advisory Board is focused on a number of initiatives, but one initiative that is already underway is the identification and engagement of a new generation of clinician researcher or a new generation of a PhD lab researcher to move this forward. As I mentioned when I mentioned earlier, Dr. Claire Deacon from the United Kingdom. I did not mention Dr. Rebecca Nicolai from Italy, Paul Norman from Stanford. These are all, essentially laboratory scientists and MDs who are moving our mission forward by tackling next generation sequencing, next generation patient work and clinical work that is taking us to the next level. They, in many ways, are our future, and the Medical Advisory Board really, I think, encouraged us and helped lay out a future strategic plan for us to identify, to train, and to fund the next generation of researchers who can take the enormous progress that we have made over the past 14 years to the next level, and as I said earlier, to help take us there faster. So I want to recognize that next generation of researcher, and also, as you saw on Rhonda's slide, recognize the extraordinary research institutions from Duke to Stanford to University College in the United Kingdom, to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, to Lurie Children's Center in Northwestern and Chicago. I could go on, but these are the leading research institutions in pediatrics and particularly in pediatric rheumatology that are our partners in moving forward. So thanks to all of you, and thanks to them for driving that. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about financing. There are two components of any organization like CureJM. There's the research component, and there is the financing component. As is often said, no money, no mission. If we don't have the resources to move forward, we can't fulfill the mission of the organization. You and I can't do the science. Only the researchers and the doctors can do the science, but we can make it possible. And that is fundamentally the role of the CureJM Foundation. A year ago when I was here, I made a statement that I thought we needed to move in the direction of creating chapters and creating a strong grassroots organization that covers our country from coast to coast. And the board embraced that vision and authorized moving forward with our first 5 chapters. We have done that in the past year. I think another example of how we wish to and act to move quickly. And we have those chapters now in 5 locations in the Pacific Northwest, in Seattle, in Chicago, in Washington, D.C., here in Central Texas, and in New York City. And all of those chapters are actively raising money through walks and through other events that are really driving the success and the growth of our research budget. The board, in its meeting earlier this week, authorized moving forward with a second phase of chapters around the country, up to 5 again in 2017, and I think we'll be looking at additional chapters in 2018 and beyond. And I need to tell you that these chapters and this grassroots enthusiasm truly is at the heart of our fundraising success and our ability to provide the resources to drive our research forward faster and more effectively than ever. So for those of you who, and Rhonda has introduced you, have led our first 5 chapters, thank you very much. For those of you who have led our first 5 walks, thank you very much. We look forward to going to the next level and really looking to a day when, we may have, something like 24, 20 or 25 chapters around the country, each operating as a driving force in pushing the Pure JM mission forward. The leadership for this organization, as Rhonda said, comes from the grassroots. We are a volunteer-driven organization. We will always be a volunteer-driven organization, one that invests your money wisely, one that takes great care in husbanding our resources and maximizing the amount of money that we can put into research. That will not change. That is really the fundamental ethos, if you will, of our board of directors, going all the way back to our founding with the lemonade stand with Tom and Sherry Hume. And is Tom in the room now? Because I want to make sure that Tom and Sherry are both recognized for creating what has been an extraordinary movement. I see Sherry in the back, and Tom's not quite here yet, and he's still behind the scenes. I also have been involved in my career with a number of nonprofit organizations. Rhonda mentioned the Foundation Fighting Blindness, where I spent 10 years before coming here. And also have to say that I have never come across a board that is more hands-on, more effective, and more passionate about the mission than the one you have here. So I particularly want to recognize Rhonda McKeever as our chair and Mitali Dave as our president. Because they bring a new definition to the word tireless. I can assure you of that. You have a board to thank for the incredible progress that has been made over the past 14 years, and a board to thank for creating a movement that I'm quite confident will not stop until this job is done. So thank you very much.